Bruce Lee walks into the Golden Lotus banquet hall in San Francisco's Chinatown wearing a simple black suit, white shirt, no tie. It's June 12, 1965, a Saturday evening when the fog rolls in from the bay and wraps the city in grey mist. What happens in the next 12 minutes doesn't just stop a wedding from being ruined, it transforms a skeptical father's entire understanding of strength, control, and what it means to protect the people you love. The Golden Lotus sits on the corner of Grant Avenue and Clay Street, a 3-story building that's hosted Chinese wedding banquets since 1923. The main hall on the second floor holds 300 people when packed, and tonight it's absolutely packed. Red and gold decorations hang from every surface. Round tables covered in white tablecloths fill the space. The smell of roasted duck, steamed fish, and jasmine tea creates an atmosphere that's pure celebration. Bruce is here as a courtesy guest, invited by the groom's cousin, who trains at his John Fan Kung Fu school in Oakland. He doesn't know the bride or groom well, but in the Chinese community, these connections matter. You honor the invitation. You show respect. You participate in the joy. The wedding is a traditional Chinese affair, mixed with American elements. The ceremony finished 2 hours ago at City Hall. Now it's the banquet, the real celebration where families meet. Elders give speeches, and everyone eats until they can barely move. The bride, Jennifer Chang, is 23 years old, graduating with a nursing degree next month. The groom, David Wong, is 26, works as an accountant at a firm downtown. They're the American dream. Their immigrant parents worked themselves to exhaustion to provide. Jennifer's father, Robert Chang, sits at the family table near the front. He's 58 years old, owns 3 laundromats in the Mission District, built his business from nothing over 30 years. He's a practical man, a skeptical man, a man who believes in hard work, tangible results, and protecting his family through preparation and caution. He doesn't believe in martial arts, thinks it's performance, entertainment, not real protection. Robert notices Bruce Lee when he enters. Everyone notices Bruce Lee. He moves differently than other people, each step deliberate, awareness radiating from him like heat from a stove. Robert knows who Bruce is, the kung fu teacher, the guy who's been in the Chinese newspapers, the one who teaches white students and black students, breaking tradition, causing controversy. Robert doesn't approve. He thinks Bruce is selling out Chinese culture, making a spectacle of sacred arts, teaching people who have no right to learn. But tonight isn't about that. Tonight is about his daughter's happiness. So Robert stays quiet, watches Bruce take a seat at a table in the back, and returns his attention to the celebration. The banquet is beautiful. Course after course arrives. Whole fish symbolizing abundance, roasted pig for prosperity, noodles for long life. Between courses, people give speeches. The groom's father talks about responsibility. The bride's mother talks about love. Friends tell embarrassing stories that make everyone laugh. Then, around 8:30 p.m., during the 7th course, trouble walks through the door. His name is Tommy Chen, 32 years old, drunk since noon, and angry about everything. Tommy is Jennifer's ex-boyfriend from 3 years ago. They dated for 6 months before Jennifer realized Tommy had a drinking problem, and a temper problem, and a problem with thinking the world owed him something. She ended it, moved on, found David, built a life. Tommy never moved on. He spent 3 years bitter, resentful, convinced Jennifer made a mistake, convinced David isn't good enough, convinced he deserves another chance. Tonight, fueled by whiskey and wounded pride, he's decided to make his case publicly. Tommy staggers into the banquet hall, clearly intoxicated. His shirt is half untucked. His tie is loose. His eyes are unfocused but determined. The room goes quiet. 300 people stop eating, stop talking, stop celebrating, and turn to watch this drunk man weaving between tables. Toward the bride and groom, Robert Chang stands immediately. He's handled drunk customers at his laundromats before, knows how to de-escalate, knows how to protect his business. But this is his daughter's wedding. This is different. Tommy, Robert says, his voice calm but firm. You need to leave. This is a private event. Tommy ignores him, walks straight toward the head table where Jennifer and David sit frozen, unsure how to handle this situation without causing a scene that will ruin their wedding. Jennifer, Tommy slurs, pointing at her. You made a mistake. You know you did. This guy. He gestures dismissively at David. He's boring. He's weak. He can't give you what I can give you. David stands, trying to protect his new wife. He's not a fighter. He's an accountant. He's a good man who's never thrown a punch in his life. but he's trying to be brave. "Tommy, please," David says. "Don't do this. Just leave peacefully." Tommy laughs. Cruel, mocking. "You're gonna make me leave? You're gonna fight me?" He shoves David hard in the chest. David stumbles backward, catches himself on the table. Glasses tip over. Water spills across white tablecloth. The room erupts in gasps and murmurs. Wedding guests stand. Some men move forward, thinking they should intervene, but they're hesitant. Tommy is big, drunk, and clearly willing to get violent. Nobody wants to be the person who turns a wedding into a brawl. Robert moves toward Tommy, ready to physically remove him if necessary, but he's 58 years old. Tommy is 32, bigger, drunk enough to not feel pain, and clearly ready to fight anyone who gets in his way. That's when Bruce Lee stands up from his table in the back. He doesn't rush, doesn't shout, just stands and walks forward with that same deliberate movement. People part for him instinctively, sensing something in the way he carries himself. Purpose, capability, control. Bruce walks directly to Tommy, positions himself between Tommy and the bride and groom. Tommy is 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Bruce is 5 feet 7 inches, 135 pounds. The size difference is obvious, but nobody who's watching thinks Bruce is at a disadvantage. "Friend," Bruce says quietly, his voice calm. "This isn't your place. These people are celebrating. You should leave." Tommy looks at Bruce like he's noticing him for the first time. His drunk brain processes the situation slowly. Small Asian guy, telling him what to do, at a Chinese wedding, where Tommy thinks he has some kind of claim. "Who the hell are you?" Tommy asks. "Someone who thinks you should leave before you regret this," Bruce says. Tommy laughs again. "You gonna make me leave, little man?" Bruce doesn't react to the insult, just says, "I'm giving you the chance to leave with your dignity. Take it." Tommy swings at Bruce, a wide, telegraphed right hook that any sober person would see coming from a mile away. Bruce isn't just sober, he's highly aware. He's been training his reflexes since childhood. He sees the punch forming before Tommy's fist even starts moving. Bruce moves his head 4 inches to the left. The punch passes through empty air where his face was. Tommy's momentum carries him forward, off balance. Bruce places one hand on Tommy's elbow, one hand on his wrist, and guides Tommy's stumbling body into a controlled fall toward the floor. It's not violent, it's not aggressive, it's just physics, redirecting force, using Tommy's own momentum against him. Tommy ends up on his knees, confused about how he got there. Bruce's hand still controlling his wrist in a lock that doesn't hurt but absolutely prevents movement. "You can get up and leave," Bruce says quietly, "or I can keep you here until the police arrive. Your choice." Tommy, drunk and humiliated, tries to pull away. Bruce adjusts the wrist lock slightly, not enough to cause pain, just enough to show that escape isn't possible. Robert Chang is watching all of this from 10 feet away. He's seeing something he didn't think was real. Complete control. No excessive force. No ego. Just pure technique and awareness. Bruce Lee isn't showing off. Isn't trying to humiliate Tommy. He's simply neutralizing a threat with the minimum necessary force. Tommy makes one more attempt to stand and swing with his free hand. Bruce catches that wrist too, crosses both of Tommy's arms, and gently but firmly guides him back down to a kneeling position. Still no strikes, no violence. Just control so absolute, it looks effortless. "Last chance," Bruce says. "Leave or stay. But if you stay, it's not going to end well for you." The fight drains out of Tommy. The alcohol, the humiliation, the absolute reality that he cannot move while this smaller man holds him in place at all hits at once. He nods, defeated. Bruce releases him slowly, ready to re-engage if Tommy tries anything else. But Tommy just stands, straightens his shirt, and walks toward the exit. The entire room watches in silence. 300 witnesses to de-escalation performed like art. When Tommy is gone, Bruce turns to Jennifer and David. "I apologize that your celebration was interrupted. Please, continue. This is your special day." Jennifer has tears in her eyes. Not from fear now, from gratitude. "Thank you," she whispers. David shakes Bruce's hand, his grip firm but trembling slightly from adrenaline. "I don't know how to thank you." "No thanks necessary," Bruce says. "Just enjoy your wedding." But Robert Chang steps forward. He's been processing what he just witnessed. Everything he thought he knew about martial arts, about fighting, about protection, it's all being re-evaluated in real time. "Mr. Lee," Robert says, "may I speak with you?" After the banquet, Bruce looks at this older man, sees something in his eyes. Not just gratitude, curiosity, the beginning of understanding. Of course, Bruce says, the wedding continues. The disruption becomes a story people will tell. The mood shifts from shock back to celebration. If anything, the room feels more alive now. 300 people bonded by shared experience. The moment when Bruce Lee saved the wedding. 2 hours later, after the final course, after the cake, after the traditional games and the red envelope presentations, Robert Chang finds Bruce near the exit. "Mr. Lee," Robert begins, "I owe you an apology." Bruce looks puzzled. "For what?" "I thought martial arts was fake. Performance. I thought people who taught it were con artists, selling false confidence. I thought real protection came from avoiding trouble, not from being able to handle it." Robert pauses, choosing his words carefully. "But what you did tonight, that was real. That was control I've never seen before. You didn't hurt him. You didn't embarrass him more than necessary. You just ... stopped him, made it impossible for him to continue, then gave him the dignity of leaving." Bruce listens without interrupting. "I own 3 laundromats," Robert continues. "I've dealt with drunk people, angry people, people who think they can take what isn't theirs. I've always felt helpless, called the police, hoped for the best, lost money, lost property, lost sleep, because I didn't know how to protect what's mine without violence, without making things worse." He looks directly at Bruce. "Can you teach me what you did tonight?" Bruce considers this. "I can teach you technique. But what you saw tonight wasn't just technique. It was philosophy. Understanding that real strength isn't about dominating others. It's about controlling yourself so completely that you can control any situation." "Then teach me the philosophy too," Robert says. "I'm 58 years old. I'm not looking to become a fighter. I'm looking to stop feeling helpless, to protect my family, my business, my peace of mind." Bruce smiles. "Age doesn't matter. Ego matters. And you just showed me you're willing to admit you were wrong. That's the first requirement of learning anything real." Robert Chang becomes Bruce Lee's student the following Tuesday. He starts training at the Jun Fan Kung Fu School in Oakland 3 times per week. At 58, he's the oldest student. He's stiff, he's slow. His body doesn't want to do what Bruce teaches. But Robert has something many younger students lack: patience, discipline, and genuine motivation. He's not training for sport. He's training for life. Bruce works with Robert differently than his other students. Less emphasis on high kicks and flash, more emphasis on practical defense, on awareness, on reading situations before they become physical, on de-escalation techniques, combined with the absolute backup of genuine skill. 6 months into training, Robert handles a situation at his laundromat that would have terrified him before. A drunk customer becomes aggressive over a pricing dispute. Robert doesn't panic, doesn't call police immediately, doesn't get angry. He uses what Bruce taught him: calm voice, controlled body language, awareness of distance. When the man grabs his shirt, Robert applies a simple wrist release Bruce drilled into him hundreds of times. The drunk man finds himself gently but firmly being guided toward the door. Unable to continue aggression, given the option to leave peacefully, he leaves. The situation ends. No violence, no police, no trauma. Robert calls Bruce that night. "It worked. Everything you taught me worked." Bruce's response is simple. "It worked because you stayed calm." Technique without calmness is just fighting. Calmness with technique is protection. Robert trains for 3 years, never becomes a master, never becomes a fighter, but he becomes something more valuable: protector who doesn't need to use violence, a man who carries confidence instead of fear, a business owner who handles difficult situations with wisdom instead of panic. In 1968, when Bruce opens his Los Angeles school, Robert helps finance it. Not because Bruce needs the money, but because Robert wants to invest in something he now believes in. Completely the idea that real martial arts isn't about fighting, it's about not needing to fight. At the grand opening, a reporter asks Robert why he's supporting Bruce Lee. Robert's answer becomes famous in martial arts circles. "I watched Bruce Lee stop a fight at my daughter's wedding without throwing a single punch. That's when I understood that real power isn't about hurting people. It's about making it impossible for people to hurt others or themselves. That's not just martial arts. That's wisdom." Years later, after Bruce's death, Robert is interviewed for a documentary about Bruce's teaching philosophy. The interviewer asks what Bruce Lee taught him. Robert thinks for a long moment, then says, "Bruce taught me that strength without control is just violence. Control without wisdom is just technique. But wisdom, control, and strength together, that's protection, that's peace." That's what he gave me that night at my daughter's wedding when he could have hurt someone but chose not to. He showed me that the greatest victory is the fight you win without fighting. The wedding that almost ended in disaster became the beginning of a student-teacher relationship that proved Bruce Lee's philosophy wasn't just theory, it was practical wisdom that could transform lives at any age. Jennifer and David's wedding became legendary in San Francisco's Chinese community, not because of the beautiful ceremony or the expensive banquet, because it was the night Bruce Lee showed 300 people what real martial arts looks like: protection without aggression, control without ego, strength without violence. And it was the night a skeptical 58-year-old laundromat owner learned that it's never too late to become a student, never too late to grow, never too late to learn that real power comes from wisdom, not force.